So in the end, what is forgiveness? Well, in a word, the search for forgiveness is obviously the search for peace. If we're wondering if we have forgiven, we have to be able to look, are we at peace? If we're not at peace, generally what's happened is that we haven't completed grieving. In the case of losing somebody or losing something important to us, or grudging, we're still hurting and being bothered by some unfairness that has placed us in captivity. Either way, we're not yet at peace. We haven't completed the grieving, and then certainly we haven't gone on to forgive. We know that we've forgiven when we're at peace. Peace is being at rest. It's being able to be at peace despite what's happened. So often we get caught up in the idea that because these terrible things have happened in my life, they have to somehow inflict me going forward. And forgiveness is actually the ability to be at peace despite what has happened in our life, despite who we may have lost or situations that may have occurred. It is being in peace now and being able to enjoy the now that is around us and be able to be at rest with that. And it's that getting past the barrier that says, okay, now I have to begin the process of forgiving and moving forward. So often people believe that they're not yet ready to forgive, or they're not going to ever be able to forgive. The problem with that, of course, is that then we're kept captive by our past. The worst things in our life continue to destroy our peace in the present. The ability to forgive ends up actually not being about whoever has hurt us or whoever we've lost. It ends up being about us. We need to forgive for us, not for anybody else. We can extend forgiveness to somebody else, and they may accept it and they may not. They may deserve it and they may not. But forgiveness is not about them. It's not about past situations. Forgiveness is about our being able to be at peace in the present. It's about moving forward in our life. So we can't do it too quickly. Had a man that was talking about a very painful incident he had with a friend of his, and he was still hurting from it, and it happened immediately, and it was something that was really hurting. He says, well, I've already forgiven him. And I said, well, I don't think so. First of all, grieve. First of all, walk through the normal progression of reaction to having our expectations violated and being hurt. That's a normal process. That's a deep feeling human being. And then begin to move forward and begin to forgive. Because that's that moment when we begin to allow our body to start letting go of the unfairnesses and the injustices that have occurred to us. So what does that look like? We're going to find that there are a series of things that need to be done, I think, that help facilitate the idea of forgiving and being at peace. First, what we've talked about is the need to completely grieve as we move forward. Second of all is going to be the depersonalization of the offense. Most of the time, the vast majority of the time when somebody has hurt us, that they didn't set out with that idea in mind to hurt us. They just did. Somebody who's gone through the painful experience of having a parent abuse them or neglect them or leave them or abandon them or be overly strict or whatever they might have done, didn't start out with an idea of saying, how can I make sure that you're miserable into your adulthood? That wasn't their goal. Now, that's what happened. Their pain, their activities, the things that they did continue to affect us in adulthood. But at the same time, that wasn't the goal. That's not what they set out to do, obviously. They were, at the time, for most people, even alcoholics or even abusers, They're making decisions that may be selfish in the present time. They're thinking about them. They're doing what seems to be best for them without regard to the effect it might have. But they don't set out to try and make our lives miserable in the future. In the same way that a drunk driver doesn't set out to say, I want to go out and kill some people today, or I want to forever alter their life at Christmas time. We have to depersonalize that to the point where we say that these things occurred. It's part of life that unfairness has happened. There are people that do thoughtless things. There are people that make selfish decisions. There are people that sometimes even well-intentioned that end up hurting us. And the result was we were hurt by their actions. And we've been affected by it. But at some point we have to say, and now I'm going to move forward despite what they did. And I have to not take personally what they did as a direct act about trying to make my life miserable. I have to be able to let go of that so that I can be at peace. The longer that I hang on to victimhood, to being forever altered by them, the longer I let, again, the worst experiences of our life, and sometimes the more destructive people we might even have met in our life, we let them continue to control our future and let them be in charge. Being peace means letting go of that. So step number 2 is being able to depersonalize.